shall give birth to art!
Oh boy.
So I realized when I was editing the video that I posted before this one, so the flip through with no commentary, that you can see my face through the glass of the table, and I was able to crop it in a way that it didn't matter. But since I'm going to be showing my interactive pages this time, you guys are going to have to deal with the flamingo tabletop. I would have been lazy and just kept it in how it is, but I was making a lot of silly faces, so we're just going to do the flip through looking at some flamingos, and I think it adds to it, really. So I'd say the number one question that I asked a lot on TikTok is which sketchbook I use, probably because I use a lot of different mediums on it. And it's nothing fancy. It's this Hufflepuff journal that my friend got me as a graduation present. And I've had a lot of these because I get them a lot as gifts when my friends or family go to Universal or Florida, because, you know, they get me art supplies. And I don't want to endorse getting Harry Potter merch now because I don't want to support what J.K. Rowling has been saying. So, but I just wanted to share it because people ask me a lot, and I'm probably just gonna get, once I'm done with the ones that I have saved up, I'm probably just gonna get another sketchbook with similar dimensions and paper thickness. So I don't think brand really matters. And for the record, now that this one's finished, I think I only have a Slytherin one left and one that's unfinished in storage. But once that's over, I'll just get another sketchbook with just thick paper. That's all I really need. I also added an elastic strap to the cover of it so that it could close properly, because I usually have a problem with that. And before I started filming, I put sticky notes on pages to have addresses. If you've seen other videos of mine, or if you follow me on social media, then you probably know that I did a thing called Mythological May back in May 2020 when I started the sketchbook. So the first 31 pages are just work from Mythological May. I just showed you, I think, Mother Earth, the underworld, and fire. This one's war. Basically, I did a zine of the work that I did for this whole month and a little bit before that, so that I could, I guess, understand how zine making works, printing books. I learned how to do a Kickstarter, so that was really cool. I feel like I really needed that side project to force myself to understand how much it would cost to print books like this. So basically in my sketchbook, I have the original drawings, and on the side, to block out what would have been marker stains, I have similar deities, because I based this list off of tropes in theology and mythology that I really like, and then I ended up doing these drawings. I would then edit them digitally and save all my files, and then I tried to make a zine on blurb.com, and I had to do all of this math, and I had to figure out how to ship them to myself, how to ship them to other people, and I had just opened up my Etsy for mostly just to sell stickers, so this was really helpful to get me to understand just all of the work that it takes to have an Etsy for anything that isn't lightweight, which is why this is kind of the only thing that isn't stickers up on my Etsy right now, because it's a lot of work. But I'm glad that I did it, and I'm really proud of it, and I still have copies up. And yes, this is a very long-winded way of me saying that I don't think I'm gonna have anything that isn't stickers or maybe prints up on Etsy for a while, until I can figure out how to do all of that by myself. And I'm very proud of myself that I can still tell which one is which for each prompt without looking at the prompt on the left side, because it's been a whole year and I can tell you what each one is for. This one was supposed to be for the prompt evil, but when I did it, I absolutely hated it. So I ended up working on it a few pages later when I got more inspiration, and this one is the one that I did for the prompt that's in the zine. No one ever sees the other one, but yeah, that one I just ended up skipping. And so this one stars. So the prompt evil is kind of the only one that I didn't end up doing in chronological order, because when I started it, I really wanted to stay true to the original list and follow it every other day. And I worked on this basically the entire month and a little bit the month before. And I say kind of because I actually cheated and I put two prompts together. So I've already passed it, the prompt that was for love and for youth, I put together into one drawing, and I thought, oh, okay, so that means I only did 30, and then I messed up evil, so I did end up using 31 pages, which is ironic. So to recap, I essentially did Mythological May first thing in the sketchbook, so all 31 pages are just from the month of May, and then I took a really long break. Other than promotional stuff, I kind of stopped working in the sketchbook for a little bit because I needed to focus on the Kickstarter to get this zine to even happen. So I worked on it pretty much all of May and a little bit the month before that to get everything in order. And then I just ignored the sketchbook for, I think, a month. Directly behind this page is just a little scrap page that I worked on in July, so, you know, after my break was over, and it's mostly just stamps and an envelope that my friend Skylar got me when she sent me a Halloween postcard that I wanted to save in this sketchbook way later, and inside the envelope are the original doodles for Mythological May. When I planned Mythological May, I really thought about it way early in advance, so I had all these little sketches of what they were supposed to look like. Some of them ended up looking way different, like these were the original ones for Sun and Moon, so you can really tell what changed after the fact, and I thought that was really interesting, so I cut them out individually and kept them in here like a little surprise, so that after you see all of the ones I did do in the month of May, you can see if they were any different from the original sketches. Ended up doing the same thing for Mythological May 2021, but I did not do the scrap paper thing because I did it in my actual thumbnail journal, so they're in there. This page immediately after that is the only other one that I did in the month of May that wasn't from the prompt list, and even then it was based off of my prompt for the word night. I ended up turning it into a draw this in your style challenge for Instagram so that I had an excuse to essentially promote the Kickstarter that I was doing for the zine. A few of my friends actually participated, and it's really fun to see this drawing in their style too. It's really cute. So since I was on a break after May, I did not have the time and energy to cover up the stains that were left from the other drawing, so I didn't gesso it or prime it or anything. So I didn't cover it up until months later when my great aunt sent me a birthday card that came in this really pretty envelope, and my other friend sent me a present in the mail, and it came with a receipt, so I put both of them together and I covered up the address with sticky notes because no one needs to see where they live. After my giant break, I also took another mini break because I had to get wisdom teeth surgery. In case my writing isn't legible, it says, on July 20th, I got all of my wisdom teeth out at once. I wanted to keep them, but I was asleep and out of there so fast. I genuinely cannot remember anything from getting my wisdom teeth out. I just woke up the next morning in my bed. It was a lot. I definitely didn't do much after that because I was in a lot of pain, but afterwards, where I was just in that state of my mouth being swollen but not really feeling anything, I ended up doing a lot of ink drawings in my sketchbook, mainly because I was too lazy to actually render anything, and I was okay with that though because I ended up experimenting with just using pen, and so all of these pages that I'm showing you here, and I think this is the last spread, is just me only using gel pen. Oh, and I watched Invisible Man. I will say I do love Elizabeth Moss. When will she be free from the shackles of Scientology? I ask you this. As you can see, I was really in that mood where you want to draw, you just don't want to actually exert any effort. So I ended up doing these drawings in those old Crayola pencils that have multiple like rainbow colors, like in one pencil, and I liked the first one. I didn't like the second one because it's too green, but I did get new washi tape, so that's the frame that you see around the corner. I think that saved it. Then this is when I actually forced myself to get my paints out, and I hated it. I tried to do a little landscape and it didn't work out for me. I thought it was really ugly for some reason, so I tried to salvage it with a Tolkien quote on the bottom because it kind of reminded me of the Shire. I still didn't like it. I ended up working on it months later, and all I did was add this that I got from a purchase of those little alphabet stickers for my journaling, and this business card that I got from my friend Skylar because I bought a sticker off of her too, and I just ended up keeping them together like an art journal spread because I didn't know what else to do with it, and it does look cute. This is also me trying to practice with regular coloring pencils because the first one kind of worked out and I wanted to see it, and it's just a drawing of, I think, Halle Bailey when she posted something on Instagram. It's not ugly, but it's not my favorite either because I think the colors aren't as vibrant as I would like them to be. I don't know, maybe I'm just not a coloring pencil kind of girl. After that is just me practicing lettering because I don't think my handwriting is good and legible on its own, and I really need to practice if I want to write more in my comics. And they ended up sticking together, so I put a transparent page in between them months later that's full of stickers that I really wanted to keep but I didn't know what to do with. And I like it because when you flip it, you can see how old some of them are. I have no idea why they used to stick together because that's not really a problem that I had in my old journal, but once I put the other one, it stopped being a problem. And then the page directly after that is little stickers that I printed out of my Inktober drawings. Instead of participating in Inktober, I ended up doing Historictober, and I have a video up of all of the drawings that I did that month, but I have a Medusa, a Frankenstein, a werewolf, a demon, a witch, a vampire, a pumpkin, another Frankenstein girl, a little elf, and a ghost. I'm doing the voiceover after the fact, so I was a little out of sync there, and I apologize. Since I ended up working on Inktober digitally, I don't have much of it here, so the only thing that I have from October in this journal is this big old list of all of the movies that I forced myself to watch, because since the pandemic happened, I didn't really have anything else to do, but I wasn't gonna let that ruin Halloween, so I tried to challenge myself to watch as many movies and TV shows as possible, and I ended up watching 74 things on that month, and I put them in a little pocket next to some stickers that I bought from Super Yaki that my friend Skylar made. This is the same Skylar that sent me that other envelope, by the way. When I bought those Super Yaki stickers, I actually got this deck of cards that are just about Bill and Ted for some reason, and I didn't have much to do in November because November was a doozy. If you know, you know. November 5th, if you know, you know, and I'm just now realizing that this might be the quickest sketchbook I've ever finished, but looking back on it, I must have just had months where I was just consistently working, because there are several times where I took a break. This is from a Draw This in Your Style after my little break after November was over, and then a quote that I finished on another page with a sticker that I did of Artemisia Gentileschi, because why not? To try to get myself back in the game of drawing again in my sketchbook, I ended up doing these little studies, mainly of bodies and feet, because I don't really like drawing feet. I ended up just painting that page completely in like yellow gouache so that it wouldn't stick together, and the spread too, and then I just drew on it in marker later when it was dry. In 2019 and 2020, I got like really obsessed with historical fashion, more so now actually. So you can kind of tell that I was saving a lot of drawings of historical fashion or historical inspired costumes, and this is Sostine and Rachel Maxey's take on the Sleepy Hollow dress, and I saved it up so I could draw it here. This is possibly my favorite spread in my sketchbook. It is a photo shoot that Vanessa Hudgens did. That was really Halloween-y, and the page in between it is a spider web that I did with an X-Acto knife. After that is when I just started drawing a lot in here. This is a page that's just full of stickers that have the color red in them, because I wanted it to complement the Draw This in Your Style that I did next to it, that I also added little heart stickers to. And this is a quote that I liked that I put with washi tape because I didn't know what to do in that page. I wanted an excuse to have an interactive page, so when I drew all these little copies of things and then I did a wash over it, it kind of made a little rip, so I knew that it was a perfect excuse to add a little surprise. I have a lot of little master copies. That's a John William Waterhouse, a J.C. Leyendecker, a Frida Kahlo, the Swing, the Girl with the Pearl Earring, Klimt, John Singer Sargent, my favorite picture of Ophelia, that drawing that's been going around a lot with the knight and the woman with the red hair whose name escapes me at the moment, and of course the painting that for some reason almost every Puerto Rican knows. Don't know why. And then there's a few other little painting details that I either took from paintings that I really like or just made up so I could have every inch of it covered so that when you open it, it's a little surprise. You're getting flipped off. I don't know, I just really like that page because it's almost seamless, like you can't really tell that it's thicker than the other page. The next double spread is actually a speed painting that I have up here on my channel, so I'm not really gonna go into too much detail about how I did that one. And then after that, I have sticky notes because I wanted to work on color. For some reason that day, the white page was really daunting, so I put sticky notes on it. And then this is another portrait that I'm really proud of that I turned into a sticker that I have up on Etsy too. More sticky notes and art journaling. I got this sticker as a present and I knew I wanted to keep it because the colors fit together. Since you can't read it, it says, Katy Perry, we're really in it now, huh? Because, you know, it's a plastic bag. Moving on. So last year I became obsessed with Helen of Troy as a person because I've read the Iliad multiple times and no one ever talks about how insane Helen's life actually is. And so I had this idea of her that she looked really pretty, but she must have had like a really long neck because her father came to her mother in the shape of a swan. We do not need to talk about those details right now, but I wanted to sketch her out and I liked it, but I didn't like it. I think I liked the concept more than the execution. And so months later, I redrew it digitally and I stuck it onto the sketchbook so I could compare it. I still don't think it's perfect, but I like it much better now. So I have both of them so I can see what I need to fix next time. I'm doing the same thing where I add a digital drawing that I did on my iPad into the sketchbook if I think it's related. And this is an old, just a practice spread of bodies and faces. And then in September 2021, I added this one, which is just another practice of drawing a body, but with limited colors. And then the page after that is just more practice, except this time I add in stickers that I didn't know what to do with in my other journal, so I put them in here. And then this is from a magazine and some iridescent washi tape because I thought it complemented this portrait that I do have a video of how I did up on YouTube. Here's some more art journaling, and I found this old book when I was 8 of Disney villains that I think are the main reason why I'm to this day obsessed with pop-ups, because it had this little map that you could open and it's a map of Neverland, and I decided to stick it in my sketchbook because I thought it was really cute that you can just like open it up and it's still small enough to fit back. And now here's where things get a little messy. Mythological May 2 happened, and I did not do it in order because some of them I did 100% digitally. So some pages got skipped over so that when I would come back I would glue them in, and then other pages were like edited, so it's not in chronological order anymore. This one is Island and this one is Trickster. The prompts for this year's list are pretty much the words that I didn't end up doing last time. So this one is the deity of marriage that ended up becoming a GIF. I'm going to put it on this side of the screen. And then we have a hand study, a sticker that I didn't want to get rid of, and a study of little girls dancing ballet that I did on Procreate that I stuck to this page too. And the gift that I did ended up being done just in time for Pride Month, so that was really cool. The next one is Messenger, so it says you've got mail, and then this one is Theater. I was listening to Phantom of the Opera while I did it. This one is Home and Hearth, and then this one was Greed. I don't think it really conveyed greed that well, but it's in there. This one is Monsters, and if you kind of close up, you can tell that it's one of the ones that I did digitally because it's glossy, but also there are sharks coming out of her because I hate sharks. And then this one is Victory because I was getting ready to watch the Olympics. Basically, you can kind of tell which ones were printed out later because they don't fit the rest of the page. And some of them are glossy, some of them aren't, depending on what the colors were. This one was Soul, and then this one was Hurricanes that I based off of Dino imagery. This one was Medicine, and I wanted to have an anthropomorphic creature, and I also turned that into an animated GIF that I'm really proud of. And then this one was Justice, mainly because a lot of protests were happening around the time, so I kind of based it off of that. Things were just really hectic around that time. This is a spread because I actually skipped these 2 pages and worked on them months later when I watched Castlevania, the final season. Then these are twins, and then this is male demigod because I decided to cut it and do female and male demigods because I feel like when people think of demigods, sadly, because of, you know, sexism, we immediately think of like just male demigods, even though there's plenty of female demigods and in multiple cultures, and also because I wanted the male demigod to have a more passive, peaceful role, and the female one to have more of a warrior thing going on. And then the page next to that is also a study. This next one was me trying to work with type, so all of those scribbles are actually a sentence, and it says heavy is the head that wears the crown. And then back to Mythological May, this is invention and curiosity, and I made them father and daughter. Actually completely forgot to give him glasses like I had in the original drawing, so they do have them in the digital edit. And then these are stickers that I have up on my Etsy. So I have a historical fashion one that have multiple versions of it. I have a new Black Phillip because I made it brighter, and I have this little Arrow Ace sticker because I'm self-indulgent. And then this page next to it is a combination of Mythological May and Mermaid because it's storytelling and she's a little octopus lady. This one is for Protector of Women, and I wanted to draw an indigenous woman. And a unicorn because I was rereading The Last Unicorn, and I do think it's one of my favorite books now. And then the one after that is Good Fortune because I wanted to do a little goldfish mermaid. Next in my prompt list was the word alcohol, and I had a completely different sketch for this one, but I ended up going with this glass bottle because when I animate it, it kind of glows on and off. And then after that was arts and crafts because I was learning how to do embroidery. Then it's river, and for river I just wanted an excuse to redraw the Ophelia painting but with a mermaid. I'm still really proud of that one. It's a little glossy though because of the camera. And then I did self-sacrifice, and I based that one off of like medieval Virgin Mary drawings. Then I did this as a little break when I was on TikTok because I saw this person cosplay Adora from She-Ra, and I thought it was really cool, so I drew her there. And then this is the deity of dance because we're still doing Mythological May here, and it's taken a while. This whole 3-page thing was supposed to be for the word chaos, but I did not like them together at all. I had this snake thing that ended up looking really muddy on one side but perfect on the other one that I did with an X-Acto knife, and then I had this page full of just red stickers to represent blood, and then the page after that had a poem on it that didn't look right, and so I had to write over it. It was just not my favorite of Mythological May at all. You can definitely tell that I was getting tired, but I wanted to see it through. This was hope, and I had, spring coming out of their hands, and then this was strength, and I clearly kind of crapped out on that one, but I think I salvaged it with the washi tape to sort of make it not as plain. This is when I got hyped up again to finish Mythological May, so I got back to normal here. And this one is the deity of travel. I ended up printing it out glossy because I didn't want to lose the color. And then this is Found Family, and it was mostly an excuse for me to draw an anthropomorphic creature with human babies. And then here we got June to July, where I clearly did not work that well either, otherwise it wouldn't be its own page. I did this digitally as practice, and I ended up using it as my thank you cards for when people buy things from my Etsy. And then this is the sticker that I actually bought for my friend that I talked about like in those earlier pages, my friend Skylar. It's a little Kermit the Frog because I was binging the Muppets for serotonin because I needed it, apparently. You can already tell that a big bulk of these sketchbooks so far has just been art challenges, so I think next time I don't want to do that anymore. This was supposed to be just me trying to get rid of art block using collage elements, but I didn't like it. Thankfully, I think I fixed it up months later when I added digital pieces like this drawing that I did. I was cleaning out my closet and I found this old butterfly dress that I drew her in, and then I did the little butterfly clips myself because I liked them in this drawing so much that I made some of my own. And then I did these little birthday cakes because for some reason I was thinking about my birthday way ahead of time. That's a little journal entry, and then I have a tutorial of how I did this one because her tongue sticks out and says hello to you. I actually worked backwards in this one because I remember the drawing that comes after this is the one that I did first, and then I drew the tongue one. So this one kind of blew up on me on TikTok also because I did the little Scooby-Doo eyes again this time. I do have a tutorial of that up on TikTok, not YouTube, I think. And then another journal entry where I drew more body and limited color palette pictures. And then this is from when I went to visit family, and for some reason I only had highlighters with me, so I just did a couple doodles. It's very clear to me by now that prompt lists are the only reason that I finished the sketchbook so quickly. For some reason I was thinking about birthdays way before I usually think about birthdays, and I did this little doodle of a thing that I saw on Twitter, which is like a goth girl having a birthday party, and I made it way more saturated, and I'm really proud of how this one came out. And it's the only reason that I started sticking in digital art into the sketchbook, because I was so happy with this one that I started printing out everything else. This is Yelena from when I watched Black Widow, and that was like, I think, one of the first movies that I started going back to the movie theater to go see. And we only go to the movie theater when there's almost no one there, so when the movies are almost done showing. And I'm really happy to go back to movie theaters because I really wasn't doing much. That is a little envelope that I found from when I was younger, and I did draw Candyman on it next to it, and then Shang-Chi, because I did watch all 3 of those movies back in the movie theater, and I put all of my ticket stubs in the little envelope to remind me when I started going back to the movie theater again. The first movie I actually went to go see in the movie theater again was In the Heights, and I do have the ticket stub in there. And then this spread is from when I was watching the Olympics, and I absolutely did not finish drawing this in August. I started drawing it in August, and then I colored it in after my birthday because I got Posca pens. So this and the spread before it are in Posca pens. I have some divers, a skateboarder, javelin throwing, gymnastics, tennis. For those of you who don't know, I used to play tennis, so I watch tennis whenever I watch the Olympics. I drew Jasmine Camacho Quinn because she got us gold again this year. In September, I started getting ready for my October prompt list and to make my costumes for Halloween. So these are just stubs from when I bought things for my costumes. So like I bought a tube top and I bought some ribbon, and that's what that's for, so that I remember where I got it from. This next page kind of blew up on TikTok too, which is kind of why I started doing this commentary video, because I got a lot of questions to do a tutorial, and I did do a tutorial and some people were still a little confused. So essentially I did this self-portrait of me, and then I ripped it in half, and then I got a really long sheet of copy paper, so like the legal paper, and I taped it to the page that ripped off but was still connected to the book on one side, and then I taped the top of that to the side that ripped off so that I could keep it together. And that way when I fold it all together, the image is still connected on the front, and there's no right way of folding it. I just folded it in a way that I could still draw on the back and still have a piece of paper to just write my thoughts down on, so that when I fold it, you can't see it. But there's no right way of doing it. You just gotta do it, I guess is the best way I can explain it. Then here are some Halloween doodles. This is Rachel Matsky's Jack Skellington that I'm obsessed with, and I think next year I'm gonna try to do something spookier. Then I have trick-or-treaters. I got too lazy and I didn't draw her brother, who was Spider-Man, but this was my favorite costume of the night. And then this is Angela Clayton, and she did like a pumpkin historical fashion thing for Halloween, and this kind of really inspired me for next year. I already have thoughts that I definitely journaled on the sides of this and behind the image that I did here. And then after that, I have Morgan Donner. She did a historical version of a Lisa Frank dress months ago that I'm still obsessed with, and I definitely didn't do justice. This is another So Steen Sleepy Hollow dress, and then I made our dog a vampire/bat costume for Halloween, so I doodled it there.
Look at it's freaking bats. I love Halloween.
Then here's another little pocket with a Crimson Peak drawing on it, and some more art journaling. So I have pictures of what I looked like for Halloween. So my little Hobbit costume, and then my Moana costume. And then I have a list of the movies that I watched this month that I either had never watched, or when I watched I was really young and I don't remember anything of it. So some more challenging things for Halloween. And then I have the prompt list for what I did for October, because this year I did Trece Brujas instead, which is aka 13 Witches, and I did it all digitally, so I don't have any of it in my sketchbook right now. Much like last time, I worked on my October art for my portfolio for a really long time, and I focused on it a lot, so I didn't actually work on this sketchbook a lot in the month of October. All of these drawings happened the day after Halloween or just around the month of November. Finally, my sister's birthday is on November 7th, so I know exactly when I finished these drawings. I ended up working on them from the 7th to the 10th. It was mostly just Posca pen practice because I wanted to do something pretty for the last few pages instead of just doing something just bleh for the last one. And finally, for the back of the sketchbook, I like to write down what I liked the best of it, what I want to improve, and what I'm gonna do next time. So yeah, that was the end of my tour. I managed to fill all of the pages front and back, plus the extra ones that I added in, so it's pretty thick. I absolutely recognize that this video was incredibly long, so if you stuck around till the end, thanks.